Oh.
Wow, look at that kiss.
What?
What's up, TV lovers? Welcome back to the channel The Famous File, your one-stop shop for all things Hollywood, sitcoms, and a little blast from the past. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most iconic sitcoms of the 2000s. Yup, you guessed it, 2.5 Men. This show had everything: laughs, awkward family dynamics, bachelor shenanigans, and, of course, a whole lot of Charlie Sheen. But we're not here just to relive the good old days. We're doing a then and now deep dive, where we check out what the cast of 2.5 Men was up to in 2003 and where they are now in 2024. Trust me, it's a wild ride, so grab your tiger blood and let's get into it. Charlie Sheen, Charlie Harper. First up, the man, the myth, the legend. Charlie Sheen. Back in 2003, Charlie was playing, well, Charlie, a millionaire jingle writer living his best life in Malibu. Honestly, could there have been a more perfect role for him at the time? It was basically Charlie Sheen being Charlie Sheen on TV. He was raking in the big bucks, starring in one of the top sitcoms on TV, and, of course, stirring up headlines like a Hollywood bad boy should. All right, before Charlie Sheen was the larger-than-life Hollywood wild child we all know, he was actually born Carlos Erwin Estevez on September 3, 1965 in New York City. He was the third of 4 kids born to Janet Templeton and the legendary actor Ramon Antonio Gerardo Estevez, who we all know today as Martin Sheen. Here's a little bit of fun fact. Ramon Estevez had to change his name to Martin Sheen just to land acting gigs. The industry was pretty brutal back then. Martin struggled to get callbacks with his birth name, so he took on a more Hollywood-friendly one. And while he was out there making a name for himself in films like Roses for the Lady and Catch-22, behind the scenes, things weren't all red carpets and premieres. Martin had some serious battles with alcohol. So when Charlie talks about his bad boy years, let's just say, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. His brother, Emilio Estevez, described their dad's drinking in his memoir as like watching weather patterns. You know, sentimental, self-pitying, then bam, angry and arrogant. Anyone with an addicted parent probably recognizes those sudden mood swings. It was tough. As Martin's career took off in the 60s and 70s, little Charlie and his siblings were often on film sets with their dad, soaking up the Hollywood atmosphere. Imagine being a kid on the set of Apocalypse Now. Crazy, right? Well, that's where Charlie and Emilio found themselves. But behind the scenes, things were rough. Martin Sheen, by that time, was knee-deep in addiction, and the stress of the intense shoot, along with his alcohol and drug use, nearly cost him his life. He had a major heart attack at 36, just after Charlie and his siblings left the set to go back to school. Charlie attended Santa Monica High School, and fun fact, he actually enrolled at UCLA for a hot minute. But like most Hollywood stars in the making, the classroom wasn't for him. So he dropped out to chase that acting dream, and boy, did it pay off. One of his early roles was in The Wraith, an 80s sci-fi flick about a mysterious car driver who, well, let's just say there was a lot of revenge and a super cool car. But where did we really notice him? Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He had this brief role as a bad boy in the police station, and honestly, it was just a preview of the Sheen we'd come to know. But the real game changer for Charlie came in 1986 with Platoon. This was the role that launched him into the big leagues. He starred in Oliver Stone's gritty Vietnam War epic, playing a young soldier grappling with the horrors of war. And man, did Charlie deliver. His performance was intense, raw, and emotional. It earned him a Golden Globe nomination and put him on Hollywood's radar in a serious way. He went from Martin Sheen's son to a bona fide star overnight. That role opened all the doors. After Platoon, he starred in Wall Street, 1987, teaming up with Michael Douglas, and brought us one of the most iconic financial dramas of all time. As Bud Fox, a young stockbroker caught in a moral tug-of-war, Charlie proved he could hold his own against some of the industry's heavyweights. And then, in 1989, he gave us a curveball, literally. Charlie showed off his comedic chops in the sports comedy Major League, where he played Wild Thing, Ricky Vaughn, a bad boy pitcher with a killer fastball and even better one-liners. The movie became a cult classic, and it's still quoted to this day. Of course, fast forward to 2003, and Charlie landed what would become his most famous role, 2.5 Men. His role as Charlie Harper, a jingle-writing, booze-drinking bachelor, felt like it was made for him. The show quickly became a ratings monster, and it's still one of the most watched sitcoms of all time. Sheen was riding high, and his comedic timing was spot on. It earned him multiple award nominations, and for a while, Charlie Sheen was the face of primetime TV. Now, while Charlie Sheen's career was soaring to incredible heights, behind the scenes, his personal life was unraveling fast, fueled by the same wild behavior that had been brewing since his teenage years. Through his addicted father and time on film sets, Charlie learned early on that alcohol and drug consumption was normal. In an interview with Knockin' Doors Down, the actor recounted having his first joint at just 10 years old. With an alcoholic and newly famous father, Charlie's life was anything but normal, or stable. So it is not surprising that Charlie began to act out very early. At 15, he stole his father's credit card to pay for a sex worker. At 16, the police caught him with marijuana and a gun. However, the judge was a friend of his mother, so this incident had no consequences. At 17, Charlie was arrested for credit card fraud. Charlie Sheen hit rock bottom when he overdosed on drugs and was rushed to Los Robles Hospital in Los Angeles.
So, it is what it is. What a dumb expression. It is what it is, yeah, and you are how you are, clearly.
At the time, Charlie was in pretty bad shape, but according to reports, he eventually started to recover physically. And that's when Charlie's dad, Martin Sheen, stepped in with a heart-wrenching press conference statement that shook people. "My son is here because of a drug overdose. This is not an easy moment in our lives, but it's a necessary one." But this wasn't Charlie's first brush with rehab. Nope. He'd actually been to rehab back in 1990, the same year his engagement to Kelly Preston ended, which we will talk about later. Turns out, it wasn't just the stress of filming catching up with him. He was dealing with alcohol addiction and a chaotic lifestyle that was spiraling out of control. And even after that first stint in rehab, he couldn't shake the grip of addiction. Now, you'd think the overdose in '98 would be a major wake-up call, right? But nope. It just proved that Charlie hadn't fully embraced the 12-step recovery program after his first rehab go-round. Things took a darker turn when Martin Sheen, yep, his own father, had to inform the Los Angeles law enforcement that Charlie was still using drugs. This landed Charlie in hot water because he was on probation at the time for allegedly assaulting Brittany Ashland, his then-girlfriend. According to reports, Charlie was charged with misdemeanor battery and assault after an incident where he allegedly slammed Ashland's head into a marble floor. She was knocked unconscious and left with a split lip, but at the time, Charlie's spokesperson fired back, claiming the whole thing was an attempt at extortion. Still, the legal wheels were turning, and Charlie ended up pleading not guilty to the charges. But it was not the first time that he received the limelight for his scandalous, violent tendency towards his partner. One of the wildest and most infamous scandals in Charlie Sheen's early career, the gunshot incident involving his then-fiancée, Kelly Preston. This story had everyone talking back in 1990, and honestly, the rumors followed Charlie for years. At the time, Charlie and Kelly were engaged. But shortly after this scary incident, the engagement was called off. And naturally, people started talking. The gossip was that Charlie had accidentally shot her. And I mean, come on, it's Charlie Sheen. The guy already had a bit of a reputation for, well, let's just say chaos, so it wasn't too hard for the rumors to stick. However, both Charlie and Kelly did eventually come forward and explain what actually happened. Turns out, it was all a freak accident. According to them, Charlie had a gun in his pants, and when Kelly picked up his pants from the bathroom floor, the gun went off by accident. A bullet hit her in the arm, and off to the hospital she went. Do you believe the official story, or do you think there's more to it? Let us know in the comments. Charlie Sheen definitely seemed to have a serious pattern of domestic violence and assault accusations that have followed him for years. Sadly, Charlie Sheen once again was being arrested in Aspen, Colorado for an alleged domestic violence assault. At first, the details were scarce, and his publicist was quick to jump in, telling everyone, "Do not be misled by appearance." But soon enough, the truth came out. This wasn't just any incident. The victim was Sheen's third wife, Brooke Muller, who had given birth to their twin sons, Bob and Max, just 9 months earlier. Brooke initially made a police statement accusing Charlie of violence, but then later tried to recant it. Still, the legal system pressed on, and charges were filed against Sheen. It's worth mentioning that this wasn't the first time Charlie had been accused of violence against women. A lot of people were reminded of his conviction for assault in the 90s and the allegations made by his second wife, Denise Richards.
A little bit.
Okay, well, I'm thankful that I can spend the holiday with,
Who also claimed he had been abusive during their marriage. These back-to-back incidents painted a picture of Charlie Sheen as a serial domestic abuser. His public image, already marred by his wild lifestyle and substance abuse, was further tarnished by these accusations. And after the alleged assault on Brooke Muller, both she and Charlie checked into rehab to deal with their addiction issues. In August 2010, Charlie pleaded guilty to reduced charges and managed to avoid jail time. Instead, he was sentenced to 30 days in rehab, along with probation and 36 hours of domestic violence counseling. Things took another dark turn for Charlie Sheen in 2011 when his third wife, Brooke Muller, applied for a restraining order, leading to their twin sons, Bob and Max, being removed from his home.
Sheen's ex-wife, Brooke Muller, obtained a restraining order.
During this time, Sheen was also fired from the hit series that had made him the highest-paid actor on television. Warner Brothers issued a statement saying, via CNN, "After careful consideration, Warner Brothers Television has terminated Charlie Sheen's services on 2.5 Men, effective immediately." After being fired, Sheen sued Warner Brothers and accepted a huge settlement. In 2018, he requested a change in child support payments due to a decline in earnings. By 2022, Charlie and Brooke finally settled on an undisclosed child support sum. If you thought things couldn't get crazier, let's dive into one of Charlie Sheen's biggest scandals yet, the one that involved Heidi Fleiss.
A company ruined a political career. A sex scandal can be the death sentence.
It all started in the early 90s when Fleiss became infamous for running a high-end call girl operation that serviced some of the biggest names in Hollywood. In 1995, she was arrested and convicted for running a multi-million-dollar prostitution business. But what really threw gasoline on the fire was Charlie Sheen's involvement, or rather, his connection to Fleiss. Charlie Sheen testified via a pre-recorded videotape at the tax evasion trial of the Hollywood madam, Heidi Fleiss. Sheen admitted to spending over $50,000 for services from her sex workers on 27 different occasions. Although none of Fleiss's clients were named during her first trial, the financial records used for her tax evasion trial revealed that Sheen was among her Hollywood clientele. Many have since suggested that Sheen suffers from sex addiction, something which would adversely affect his relationships and his health in the future. In 2015, he made the headlines again by revealing in an interview on the Today Show that he is HIV positive.
I'm here to admit that I am in fact HIV positive.
Fast forward to 2024, and Charlie has taken a step back from the Hollywood spotlight in a big way. He's been focusing on his health and has been fairly open about his struggles and recovery. It's clear that Charlie's in a much more reflective, calmer space compared to the guy who once thought he was winning every minute of the day. Things have started to look up for Charlie. He's back in action with a few new projects under his belt, and after years of drama, he and Brooke Muller have finally established a fantastic co-parenting relationship. What a ride! Jon Cryer, Alan Harper. Next up, we have Jon Cryer, aka Alan Harper, everyone's favorite freeloader and human doormat. Back in 2003, Jon was best known for his role in Pretty in Pink. But 2.5 Men completely revamped his career. Alan was the lovable loser who never paid rent, constantly mooched off his brother, and somehow always ended up in ridiculous situations. Cryer's comedic timing was chef's kiss. But before we met Alan, Jon had a pretty cool journey to fame. Born in New York City in 1965, Jon was practically born for the spotlight. His parents? Well, they were both actors, Gretchen and David Cryer. So it's no surprise that Jon caught the acting bug early. Watching them perform on stage, Jon knew from a young age that he wanted to follow in their footsteps. Jon made his Broadway debut in 1983, when he was just 18 years old, landing the role of David in Torch Song Trilogy. Fun fact, this was a role originally played by none other than Matthew Broderick. And if you're wondering how that fits into Jon's career, well, you'll see this theme of taking roles meant for Broderick pop up again. More on that in a second. But the role that really made Jon a household name, Pretty in Pink in 1988. In this John Hughes classic, Jon played Philip Ducky Dale, the lovable, quirky, and forever friend to Molly Ringwald's Andy. From there, Jon kept his career rolling with some pretty interesting roles. He starred as Lex Luthor's nephew in Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Where the hell is this and how the hell do I get to see her?
He even joined forces with future 2.5 Men co-star Charlie Sheen in the zany action comedy Hot Shots. In 2003, friends encouraged him to audition for the part of Alan Harper on 2.5 Men, playing the straight-laced brother to Sheen's perpetual bachelor. Cryer decided to audition, and the rest is history. He was the only actor to appear in every one of the hit show's 262 episodes, earning him 2 Emmy wins and a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame along the way. On 2.5 Men, the chemistry between Jon and Charlie was pure gold. And off-screen? Well, believe it or not, Jon and Charlie actually had a great relationship in the early years of the show. Despite Charlie's bad boy reputation, Jon has spoken about how, during the height of 2.5 Men, they got along really well. But, as we all know, things didn't stay smooth forever. The drama started when Charlie's personal life began spiraling out of control around 2010. His very public meltdowns, substance abuse issues, and controversial comments about the show's creator, Chuck Lorre, led to his infamous exit from 2.5 Men in 2011. And unfortunately, that put a serious strain on his friendship with Jon. Jon's always handled the situation with class, but you can tell it wasn't easy for him. He's spoken in interviews about how heartbreaking it was to see Charlie go through those tough times. They drifted apart after Charlie left the show, and while Jon has been supportive of Charlie's recovery, they haven't really spoken in years. Recently, there's been buzz about a potential 2.5 Men revival, especially with reports that Charlie and Chuck Lorre have reconciled. But when Jon was asked about it on The View, he made it clear he's not interested in working with Charlie again.
Good health for the rest of his life, but I don't know if I want to get in business with him.
Even though he's heard Charlie's doing better, Jon said they haven't been in touch and he doesn't feel like teaming up for a revival. So after Jon Cryer wrapped up his time as Alan Harper on 2.5 Men, Jon took on the iconic role of Lex Luthor in Supergirl. He traded in Alan's sweater vests for the bald head and power suits of one of DC's most notorious baddies. He even appeared as Lex in the Arrowverse crossover events like Crisis on Infinite Earths, going toe-to-toe with some of the biggest DC heroes. But Jon didn't stop at villainy. He's also been making a name for himself in more serious roles and guest spots. He's popped up in shows like NCIS and even done voice work in animated series like Justice League Action, proving his versatility. And let's not forget, in 2015, fresh off his 2.5 Men success, Jon Cryer gave us something special. His memoir, So That Happened. In his book, Cryer covered much between his 1986 Hollywood breakthrough role as Ducky in Pretty in Pink to his time alongside Charlie Sheen in 2.5 Men, which earned 46 Primetime Emmy nominations during its 12 years. One of the most shocking revelations from Jon's memoir is that he had a rare form of cancer. When Jon was just 24 years old, right around the time his Hollywood career was taking off, he was diagnosed with dermatofibrosarcoma protuberans. Yeah, that's a mouthful, right? It's a rare type of skin cancer, formed in the connective tissue of the dermis, and it's usually caused by a genetic mutation. Thankfully, it's one of those cancers that's treatable if found early, and that's exactly what happened with Jon. He noticed a lump under his skin and got it checked out just in time. Moreover, he also addressed his relationship with Demi Moore when both were still budding actors in the 1984 film No Small Affair.
Did he do something to you?
According to Jon, during filming, he was totally smitten with Demi, and they even dated briefly. But Demi later revealed in her own memoir that she had no idea how much Jon cared for her at the time. She actually admitted that she didn't even realize how much their relationship had meant to him, which totally shocked Jon when he read about it years later. As for his off-screen relationships, back in 1999, Jon married British actress Sarah Trigger, And together they had a son, Charlie Austin, in 2000. Things seemed pretty solid for a while, but unfortunately, their relationship didn't have a happy ending. The couple divorced in 2004, and the split was pretty rough, with custody battles making headlines. But Jon's always handled personal struggles with a lot of grace, focusing on being a great dad to Charlie through it all. In 2007, Jon found love again when he met entertainment reporter and TV host Lisa Joyner. The two hit it off and tied the knot in 2007, and it was clear Jon had finally found his happily ever after. In 2009, Jon and Lisa expanded their family by adopting a baby girl named Daisy. Jon has been very open about how much he loves being a dad, and how Daisy has completely brightened their lives. It's clear that Jon has found balance between his career and personal life. After all the ups and downs, he's emerged stronger, with a loving family by his side. And honestly, that's the real-life happy ending we all love to see. Angus T. Jones, Jake Harper. Remember Jake? The kid who went from adorable to the king of sarcasm, burgers, and video games? That's Angus T. Jones. In 2003, little Angus was stealing scenes as the half-man in 2.5 Men, cracking us up with his I don't care attitude and growing up right before our eyes. He was the quintessential 90s kid living through the 2000s. Starting at just 10 years old, Angus was thrust into the spotlight in 2003, playing the adorable, fast food-loving, and often bewildered son of Alan Harper and nephew of Charlie. His character's quirky innocence and his hilarious delivery of lines made him a fan favorite, earning him multiple award nominations and even a couple of wins for Best Young Actor in a TV Comedy. However, in 2012, Angus shocked fans and the industry when he publicly criticized 2.5 Men in a video testimonial posted to YouTube.
I figured that was, that I couldn't.
Jones urged fans to stop watching 2.5 Men, calling the show filth and stating, "If you watch 2.5 Men, please stop watching 2.5 Men. I'm on 2.5 Men, and I don't want to be on it. Please stop watching it and filling your head with filth." However, just a day later, Jones issued a public apology, clarifying his remarks. In a statement to Us Weekly, he expressed regret for the way his comments were received, emphasizing that he never intended to disrespect anyone involved with the show. Jones did end up apologizing for his comments and continued filming the show. Fans even saw his character grow up and graduate from high school. He remained a series regular on 2.5 Men until the season 10 finale in May 2013. Jones's controversial remarks came amid his growing involvement in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which played a significant role in shaping his views on the show and his career at that time. After leaving the show, he decided to step away from acting and focus on his education and personal life. Although he has largely stayed away from Hollywood since the end of the hit show, in late 2023, he reunited with Sheen for a cameo appearance in Mac's show Bookies. Good for him. Ashton Kutcher, Walden Schmidt. Now, we can't forget about Ashton Kutcher, who swooped in to fill some massive shoes after Charlie Sheen's dramatic exit. In 2011, Ashton joined the show as Walden Schmidt, a lovable tech billionaire. It was a bold move, and while fans were divided at first, Ashton's goofy charm helped keep the show going for another few seasons. Now, before he ever appeared on screens as the lovable Walden Schmidt, Ashton was already a household name. He started out as the goofy, fun-loving, and somewhat dim-witted Kelso on that 70s show back in 1998.
Jackie, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out why this guy didn't hire me.
Michael, I am so tired of hearing that.
But Ashton wasn't just a sitcom star. Oh no, he was out there making moves in Hollywood, starring in movies like Dude, Where's My Car?, The Butterfly Effect, and Guess Who?, which was a hilarious rom-com where he starred alongside Bernie Mac. And let's not forget the iconic No Strings Attached.
Back to work.
No, that's not the deal. The deal is that we're gonna walk around and we're gonna look at the
He was one of the first stars to break out from TV and prove he could dominate the big screen too. Not to mention, he had that boy next door charm that made him an instant crush for many. By the time Ashton joined 2.5 Men, he wasn't just acting, he was already becoming a business mogul. While he was making millions playing Walden, Ashton was building his empire behind the scenes. He invested in tech companies like Skype, Uber, and Airbnb before they became household names. The guy was ahead of the curve. His venture capital firm, A-Grade Investments, made him one of the youngest and most influential investors in Silicon Valley. If there's one thing Ashton has mastered besides tech and acting, it's relationships. He's had his fair share of Hollywood romances and, well, some of them were super high profile. Before 2.5 Men, Ashton's most famous relationship was with none other than Demi Moore. They got married in 2005, and people were all over it. The couple separated in 2011, and things got messy after that. One of the most eye-opening parts of their relationship came to light in Demi's memoir, Inside Out. In her book, Demi opens up about some personal struggles she faced during her marriage to Ashton Kutcher, especially around the idea of trying to be the perfect wife and how she bent over backward to meet his expectations. Demi talks about how, when Ashton expressed his fantasy of bringing a third person into their relationship, she didn't say no. Instead, she went along with it, thinking that by being open to these things, she could prove how fun and adventurous she could be. She was trying to show him how great of a partner she could be in order to meet his desires. In her memoir, she explains that participating in those threesomes ended up leaving her with feelings of shame. Poor Demi. Ashton moved on pretty quickly and met Mila Kunis. They got engaged in 2014, got married in 2015, and by 2016, they were parents to their first child. However, things started to take a dark turn for Ashton, because recently Ashton has found himself at the center of some heavy rumors, fueled by his connection to Sean Diddy Combs and some past controversies. The media firestorm kicked off after Diddy's legal issues. He was arrested and charged with serious offenses, including sex trafficking and racketeering. With Diddy's spotlight now a darker one, fans have speculated about Ashton's involvement, especially since he and Diddy were close friends, often seen together at lavish parties. The rumors that Ashton and his wife, Mila Kunis, might be heading for a divorce began to swirl, partly due to this scandal and also because of their earlier public support for former That 70s Show co-star Danny Masterson, who was convicted of sexual assault. Many wondered whether the couple, already under scrutiny, might break apart from the pressure of these scandals. So what do you think? Do you believe Ashton and Mila will make it through all this drama, or is the pressure getting to them? Let us know in the comments below. And that's the 2.5 Men cast, then and now. From wild antics and drama to some major life changes, this show gave us a little bit of everything. Whether you love them or love to laugh at them, these actors have left a legacy of unforgettable moments. Who was your favorite character? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to smash that like button if you love this trip down memory lane. Thanks for hanging out with me, and remember to subscribe for more fun content. Bye, guys!